Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to my opinion/review for A Quiet Place. I really do appreciate it. And I'm going to do things with this review, this opinion of mine, just slightly different. I'm going to do it mullet style, meaning going to have my non-spoiler review in the front, and I'm going to have my spoiler review or spoiler comments towards the very end of the video. And what I mean by the very end of the video, I literally mean at the very end, like after the credits. If you subscribe to my channel and you've tuned into my videos before, you know how my videos end, to where the music comes on, the social media icons. I'll have a card coming up showing, other videos of mine. Please do this, please do that with the logo. But after all of that is when I will have my spoiler opinion. And also lately there have been a few people out there that have left comments in the comment section asking me to hurry up and get to the point. Thank you very much for being honest with me and giving me feedback. I really do appreciate that. Keep it going. But just to be honest with you, that's not necessarily my style. And I just feel more comfortable with building my review up, just kind of setting up my expectations and how I actually went into the film. So as far as that's concerned, the trailers for this movie, I remember seeing it back in November. I went to the theater with my mom. I don't remember if they had opening credits in the trailer, but I do remember that it was just a teaser. And early on, I was like, okay, this seems quite interesting. It seems like a horror movie. I'm not really a horror guy. I'm kind of a scary cat. But, you got this family in this house and they have to keep quiet. They knocked over a lantern. They heard a bunch of ruckus upstairs. We don't know if this is ghosts, monsters, aliens, or whatever. And I remember saying to myself, like, whoa, this looks good at first, but this just looks kind of stupid. I mean, if you have to be quiet, if you make a sound and the bad guys come and get you that way, why are you in the house? Just leave, just go somewhere else. I mean, I just did not understand. I kind of said to myself, okay, hey, maybe the fan will give you a valid reason to why, they can't leave or anything like that. And so, as far as that's concerned, you're just going to have to go see the movie for yourself. Now, the premise of this film, A Quiet Ones, after I've actually seen it, is quite brilliant. There was a lot of creativity that went into this film, that went behind the scenes, the making of it. I loved everything about it. And just the first thing that I loved a lot about it was just the world building, of the film, just early on, just kind of setting the tone for itself, letting the audience know kind of what we're in for. It did that very early on. It was very self-explanatory. And you're just kind of like asking yourself, like, whoa, I mean, this is a world that I'm familiar with, that I can see myself in every day. But wait a minute, why does everybody have to be quiet? What's going to happen? What is what is lurking around the corner, under the bridge, under the bed, or whatever, to where, you have to be quiet. So that right there, I think was phenomenal. That was one of the better things of the film. Just seeing the characters interacting with each other, not being able to speak, only having to communicate with each other through sign language was very thought out. I cannot remember any film that I've seen this year, last year, or in recent years, last decade, to where it was this type of premise. So kind of like early on, you're very on board with everything. I really also just like all the details of the surroundings. Like, these characters, they're living a tough life right now. And so they have these rules that they have to follow. And if they, go left or right of the rules just a little bit, I mean, there's no second chances in this world that they live in. I mean, and they could just be their last day just like that. And just speaking of days, also just another thing that I liked about the film was the passage of time. That was pretty self-explanatory too. Sometimes I can give a film, a movie, a lower grade because, they just don't do a well job of transitioning from scene to scene, or, giving you a transition of time and what's going on. But, that is not the case here. Now, with this premise, with this plot, and I'm reading this synopsis right now, a family is forced to live in silence while hiding from creatures that hunt by sound. So if you have to be quiet and you have a film with actors and actresses and things like that, and the cast in this film is only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people. So it's not a large cast at all. It's like, how are they going to, I said they gave us sign language, but how are their performances really going to come across if they cannot talk. And that was just that was probably another great. Well, no, it wasn't probably another. It was another great thing about this film is that these characters are communicating with each other, not being able to emote vocally with their voices, but they still are able to deliver a great performance. I mean, it's very convincing. When they're tired and they just want to relax. I mean, you can see it on their face, just the relief, the tension that's gone away when there's passion in the air. You can really sense the attraction that's going on between the husband and the wife of this family. When they're scared, when they're panicked, when they feel threatened, I mean, you really do feel for them, and they can't make a sound. And just like, wow, these little whimpers here and there, just these little details everywhere. I keep hitting this microphone. Excuse me, guys. Sorry about that. But just like all these little details here and there of, them, just trying to get their point across to each other without making the sound. That's just another great thing. As far as the cast is concerned, I don't know why I can't talk right now. We have Emily Blunt. Of course, you've heard of her. You also have John Krasinski. John Krasinski, he's bounced back and forth between, movies and television, Arrested Development, The Office. He's also a director. This is the 4th film that he directed. Also teaming up with Michael Bay, Bad Boys 1 and 2, The Rock, Pearl Harbor, The Island, the Transformers movies, things like that. He's teaming up with, Michael Bay with Michael Bay's production company, Platinum Dunes. I did not know that going into the film, but early on when they showed that title card, or, I was like, oh, okay, Michael Bay has to do with this. And also they teamed up before in the past with 13 Hours, The Secret Soldiers of Benghazi, which I believe came out January of 2015. I remember that day specifically, just because where I saw the theater, I saw it at a football stadium. So, but I brought up the cast because, they're great too. Like I just said, they're not able to talk, but there is one character, his name is Marcus Abbott. In the film, I really don't know why they're giving characters names, really, first and last names, but there's the Marcus Abbott, his real name is Noah Jupe. He is a 13-year-old, and he was my favorite character in this movie because he was not messing around. He was not playing. He was the one that, you have, your sticklers that like to follow, all the rules and guidelines to the T. No, Noah, he was like, no, we need to do everything you said times 10. I'm not trying to die. I'm only 13 years old. I'm trying to reach 93 years old. No, he did not say that I'm being silly right now, but, he couldn't talk either. But that's just the way he came across. He took, his quiet time to a whole nother level or whatever. So, I mean, it's really, nothing that I did not like about the film except for this one part, and that is the very beginning of the film. Now, I bragged on the film and gave it kudos and accolades at the very beginning of this review of this opinion, saying that the world building was great. And while I did love the characters 90% of the time, the first 10 minutes of this movie, I was just like, what is going on? What is wrong with you guys? You are freaking moronic, and you guys know I don't like stupid characters. I mean, SDS, stupid character syndrome. I will definitely be talking about that at the end of this review, for my spoilers, but I was just like, first 10 minutes of this movie, it just started out so great. And then I'm just like, why would y'all do that? I just don't understand. Another great thing about this film is its ability to create thrills and suspense and tension. I mean, seriously, I saw this with a packed theater. It was quiet as a mouse. You can hear a pin drop in the theater, but you can also hear people just kind of like clenching their seats and, kind of rubbing their feet against the ground, just like and gasping and oohing and ahhing and things like that. I mean, it was just like really it was just so intense in times to where you thought you was in the movie yourself when the creatures or whatever it is that is coming. And of course I know what it is. I'm not going to spoil it for you here. When they're coming to invade on this family and they can't make a sound, or they're just going to be taken down or whatever. It feels like you're in the movie too. Like I would, like a few times I was just like, and then I'm like, oh, dummy, you ain't got to be quiet. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be making noise because you don't want to ruin it for nobody else. But I'm just like, man, it was just like that intense or whatever. And another great thing about why the film did a great job able to create the suspense and things like that is because the way they reveal the creatures throughout the entire movie. early on, you don't know what the hell they are. And oh man, I was about to spoil it, but you don't know what these things are, or what it is. You don't just know what it is. It is an entity. And just every 10 to 15 minutes, they just pull back another layer, letting you see visually more and more and more what this so-called threat can do, what it can't do, what its strengths are, what its weaknesses are, and things like that. And, you don't get anything at the very beginning. You get a good amount at the halfway point, and then at the very end, they just pull back the curtain, and it's just right there in your face. And I'm just sitting there just like, man, this is very unique. This is very classic. This is very creative. I've never seen anything like this before. I'm loving this, but also kind of disgusted at the design of whatever this entity is. And I'm just like, man, this is just super dope. Now, also, when I was talking about how the majority of the film was quiet, there are scenes it too to where, some of the characters can talk loud. But I like the devices that the film used to get that point across. This is, no family is perfect, but, this family in this movie is tight knit. And I just respect the way that they followed all the rules and guidelines and just, all the little details that they created to survive. And they really have it down to a T. There are some other things that the characters was doing in this movie to where I would just say to myself, okay, you put yourselves in this situation, the rules, the outcome. So why would you do this? Why would you do that? But then it would circle back around. They would, John Krasinski or whoever the writer was for this movie. Look, who was the writer for this? Let me see real quick. Brian Woods and Scott Black. Let me see if there's one more. John Krasinski. Yeah, those three. John Krasinski, Brian Woods, and Scott Black. The way they will write these extra devices in the film to explain some of the character decisions that were kind of frustrating me at the very beginning of the film, but kind of see how they played out later on. I'm just like, okay, just another thing right here that you surprised me with that I did not see coming. And, last but not least, guys, is I love music. I love a good score, a good soundtrack. And while the film has to be quiet, a quiet place for the majority, there was little sprinkles here and there to where there was a nice score that offset the silence, and it was just like a beautiful mix of greatness, bit up on the big silver screen, and I just pretty much loved it. Other than the very beginning of this film was perfect. This is easily one of the better films that I have seen all year, that I've seen in a long time. Rewatchability is there. It's that type of film to where, you can say this with any type of film, but, I would love to have a copy of this and just kind of show it to my family and friends just so I can see their reaction. And they all know I get a kick out of that because I'm always that guy like, hey, you want to watch this? Want to watch that? And they're like, no, I just want to chill. But, especially my brother. But what's up, man? But yeah, guys, the characters is great. The build-up was great. The world building was great. All the details, the acting. I love my favorite character, Noah. You did a great job. The only thing I just did not like is at the first 10 minutes of this movie, which kind of set the tone. They kind of addressed it a little bit, kind of towards the beginning of the third act. And, and just one more thing, this film leaves you wanting more, but at the same time gave you enough, if that makes sense. If I had to rate A Quiet Place out of a 1 out of 10, I would give it a 9 out of 10. Yes, a 9 out of 10. But guys, I said all that, and all films are subjective, and it's just my opinion. So, have you seen A Quiet Place, or do you want to see it? Anything I've said, have I turned you on? Have I turned you off? Do you agree with me or do you disagree with me? Let me know in the comment section below. Let's get this conversation going and keep it flowing. If you like this video, go ahead and give me the thumbs up. And if you don't, that's fine. But you can still subscribe to my channel. You can also go to my website, check me out there, bookmark, and also look me up on social media. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. It's right at the bottom of your screen. And I made it very easy by providing a link to all that good stuff down in the description box below. Well, guys, just stay tuned after the credits if you want to hear my spoilers. And I just want to thank you again for tuning in to my opinion/review of A Quiet Place. And before you go, don't forget that my name is Brandon Keith Avery, and that's just my opinion. Peace. All right, guys, thank you so much for staying tuned in with me. Now I just want to let you know that it will be spoilers of the film from here on out. If you have not seen the movie and you do not want to be spoiled, I strongly suggest you cut the video off now, subscribe, then cut the video off, go see the movie, then come back and check this section out. It's not going to be long, or if you don't care about spoilers, you can stay. Okay, so at the very beginning of the film, they're revealing the days of time. It's like day 89. So it hasn't even been 3 months since, I guess, this is some type of alien invasion. And these little creatures, I love the design of them. They look like hands or something like that, with some type of head that has a shell around it, to where when it opens up and it can hear and all that stuff, that's where its weakness is. But at the very beginning, everything was just kind of on the nose to me, as far as, they can't talk. So they have to have some type of way to let the audience know what's going on and why people have to be quiet. So there's just nothing but newspapers around. Just after a while, I'm just kind of saying to myself, like, in a real life situation, why would everybody just have them post, plastered up like that everywhere? But that's not really, that's just something that kind of annoyed me, just kind of like a little nitpick. But the thing that I just thought was just so stupid was, they have to be quiet and they're going scavenging, throughout the town, in random stores, looking for supplies and things like that to survive. There's this little boy who is not older than 4 or 5 years old. I think he's older than 3. I'm not good with chalk. His name is Cade Woodward. They cannot make a sound, yet they are not keeping their eye on this little boy. He is ripping and running through the store. Like, seriously, I don't want to drop a pin, because some of y'all may be listening with headphones and that could be annoying. But any sound that anybody can make will, make the monsters come and eat them up. And they just don't have this little boy on a leash. And I don't mean that figuratively. Literally, I would put a leash on my child not in real life, but in this situation right here. He's running around, climbing on ladders and stools, trying to get spaceships and things like that. And I'm just like, whoa. Early on when they was actually showing what was going on, I didn't know the rules and what was, but later on, like a little bit after that, I'm just like, wait a minute, why were y'all not, keeping your eye on him? So they get the little spaceship. They get scared, like, oh my God, he has a toy with batteries. So they're real careful and try to take it from him. You know what I'm saying? Like, they got to be real careful and take, the batteries out the remote, or take the batteries out of the spaceship or whatever. And then you lay the batteries down on the counter, and then you lay the spaceship down, and you just say, oh no, that's just too loud. And then you just leave the store. You leave you leave the store, then your wife leaves the store, and you got your other son in your hand, and you leave the teenage girl and the little 3, 4-year-old, 5-year-old boy in the store. Like, why would you do that? This is a 4-year-old is considered toddlers. I don't know, but this is a child, not an infant, but this is a little boy. This is a child. This is a baby. Why would you do that? Even if this is the real or normal world to where there are no monsters, why would you just leave your child behind like that? That doesn't make any sense. Who does that? Who walks out of a store and doesn't hold the door open, or just gonna leave your child in the store? I just don't understand that. And then y'all are walking down the street. You on one side of the bridge, father. What is your name? John Krasinski. You did a great job, John, with directing this film, because you directed this film and you did a great job. But you're on one side of the bridge, Lee, and your son is way back here by his damn self. That does not make any damn sense. I'm just like, what the hell is going on? This movie sucks. And I was mad. I'm like, man, I went to this movie not watching many trailers. I saw the one on November of last year, 2017, and I forgot about the movie. And I was actually going to this movie like, man, I didn't see no trailers other than a TV spots where Emily Blunt was in the bathtub and that little hand comes up. So I thought that was the only trailer that I saw. But as I was watching the movie, I was like, oh no, I've seen this trailer before way back then. I just forgot about it. But for you, Lee, to leave your son way over here on this side of the bridge, because when the spaceship made the noise, bro, you had to sprint to your child and you did not make it. Why would your child be so far away from you at such a young age that you would have to sprint to get to him? And again, with a world full of aliens or whatever monsters or whatever they are, or a town, I wouldn't even let my child, I don't have kids, but I would not even let my child that far away from me if we just at a grocery store or just wherever, that just doesn't make any sense. But later on when Emily Blunt and them were, finessing each other in bed or downstairs in the basement, she did break down of just saying kind of like how guilty she felt and that she should have carried him. And at the same time, before I was like, okay, why y'all having sex? Why y'all smashing? You cannot bring a newborn baby in the world. The baby gonna be born crying or whatever. And then the monster's gonna come get the baby. But they had a great plan there, and it worked in the film, and I liked it. But you can also kind of see that the parents felt so bad as to they lost their son, Bo. So that's probably why they wanted to have another child, and they made the proper precautions to do so. So I got to give it to them there. But it was the little girl's fault because she gave the spaceship back to the little boy, and the boy picked up the batteries or whatever. She felt guilty, and she felt that her father was blaming her for it. So that plot device at the very beginning of the film kind of created a through line for that father-daughter relationship towards the end, where he was like, I will always love you. And Marcus Abbott, the other brother, Noah, was like, hey, you should tell your daughter that you love her or whatever, that you're not mad at her. So I understand that, but this movie probably would have been like a 9.5/10 if it wasn't for the beginning with, I don't mind a little boy I don't mind a little boy dying. And then there's, drama there because of that. But the way he died, I would have preferred it to where if y'all was holding the child and somebody, or he was just right there and he accidentally, made a noise, or he could have had the truck. He could have just been in the store and snuck the truck in his bag by himself, and nobody knew about it or whatever. And then when they're walking on the bridge, that's when it goes off and they scattered or whatever, and he dies that way. That would have been better. But for you to leave your son, like a 20+ yard gap in between y'all, especially even in normal conditions, that's stupid. But in these conditions, that's even dumber. But guys, I hope you enjoyed the review. You already got my rating. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Peace.